welcome to The Nation ASEAN Plus. I'm Jessie CHAHAL at Wisma Bernama right here in Kuala Lumpur, the home of Malaysia's national news agency. Now, every weekend we bring you stories that made the week and insightful perspectives across the dynamic and diverse region. We've had some significant developments in ASEAN bloc this week. Let's begin here with Malaysia. Now, Malaysia's auto firm Proton has launched its first electric vehicle on Monday, the latest entry into the local market as the country seeks to boost EV and hybrid EV use and gain a foothold in the global supply chain. The Proton E-Mass 7's introduction in Malaysia follows that of BYD, now Tesla and Stellantis in partnership with Leapmotor.
Our projections indicate this could yield investment opportunities as high as 1.3 trillion ringgit by 2050 and additional contribution of 220 billion ringgit to the Malaysian GDP and generate, inshallah, over 300,000 job opportunities. The launch of Proton's first SUV EV today is extremely timely, and it will be a catalyst that moves us into the next era of low carbon mobility. It is the government's wish for Proton and its strategic partner Geely to continue to lead the development of Malaysia's automotive competencies and ecosystem.
On the same day, Thai Prime Minister Paetongtarn Shinawatra made her first official visit to Malaysia, meeting with Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim to address shared concerns over the Myanmar conflict and the South China Sea dispute. Addressing the South China Sea dispute, Anwar said the two countries have a common position on South China Sea, respecting UNCLOS, the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea, whilst maintaining relations with all countries. And meanwhile, on Thursday, the Prime Minister, Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim, said Malaysia and Turkmenistan have reaffirmed their commitment to deepening cooperation through the establishment of a joint commission. He said the foreign ministers of both nations will implement this initiative early next year to solidify collaboration. The two leaders underscored the significance of advancing collaboration in areas such as transportation, culture, education, tourism and sports, highlighting these areas as key to deepening ties between Malaysia and Turkmenistan. Trade between both countries has shown remarkable growth, with total trade from January to October 2024 surging by 74.8%. With Tengku Zafrul, bilateral trade between Malaysia and South Korea reached 100.6 billion ringgit by November, driven by electrical and electronics sector. Over 400 South Korean companies operate here in Malaysia, employing more than 50,000 locals since 1980. Speaking at the launch of Edia Coffee's first outlet in Elmina Lakeside Mall, Tengku Zafrul highlighted the brand's plan to open 300 stores in 5 years, creating job and upskilling opportunities. Edia, a top South Korean coffee chain, already has 4,000 outlets. Well, there was something interesting on Reuters. Malaysia and South Korea have agreed to finalize a bilateral free trade agreement by the year 2025. The aim is to enhance cooperation in sectors such as services, investment and green energy. And additionally, both countries are collaborating on a carbon capture and storage project scheduled to launch in 2029. Well, moving on, Malaysia and China, its economic ties have continued to strengthen, with bilateral trade reaching $98 billion in the 11 months of 2024, matching the total trade volume for all of 2023. Minister of Investment, Trade and Industry, Tengku Datuk Seri Zafrul Abdul Aziz, said the 6.9% year-on-year growth presents opportunities for further advancement in the years to come. Investment-wise, from 1980 to June 2024, a total of 531 manufacturing projects with participation from China have been implemented. Investments valued at somewhere north of 80 billion ringgit. This promises the creation of 88,800 jobs. Well, this week, Malaysia's Foreign Minister Datuk Seri Mohamad Hassan is in Bangkok in Thailand, attending meetings focused on the Myanmar crisis. The ASEAN Troika, consisting of the current, past and upcoming ASEAN chair countries, was created to ensure a unified approach to resolving the solution in Myanmar, Malaysia, Indonesia and Laos, who are all now part of Troika. These discussions are aimed at strengthening cooperation on a peace plan for Myanmar and planning future steps as well. As Malaysia prepares to take over the ASEAN chair in 2025, it is presenting its approach to the crisis. Here are three things you may not know about the ASEAN Troika. Firstly, it's a new mechanism. The Troika was created in 2023 to streamline ASEAN's response to crises involving the current, past and future ASEAN chairs. Why? Well, to ensure continuity and focus on issues like Myanmar. Secondly, Malaysia's key role as incoming ASEAN chair next year. Malaysia plays a pivotal role in helping to shape ASEAN's approach to the Myanmar crisis. And thirdly, a focused approach. Unlike ASEAN's usual consensus-based decision-making, the Troika allows for quicker, more coordinated actions. It sort of makes it a unique tool for addressing urgent regional issues. Well, moving on, Jordan has expressed gratitude to Malaysia for its ongoing humanitarian aid to Gaza. The Jordanian ambassador, Dr. Ismail Madala Suleiman Maita, highlighted regular discussions between the leaders of both countries on the Gaza conflict and Palestine's right to statehood. King Abdullah II of Jordan has been actively seeking a ceasefire and facilitating aid delivery since the conflict began in October 2023. Malaysia's recent $5 million contribution is part of its continued support for Gaza, addressing urgent needs like food, medicine and hospital supplies.
This is position of the Malaysian government is not surprising at all since the start, as the Hashemite Kingdom of Jordan and the Malaysian government see eye to eye concerning the aggression on Gaza and the right of the Palestinian people to establish their own independent state with security and sovereignty on the borders of the 1967 with the East Jerusalem as its capital.
Well, if you're looking for something to do this weekend, the documentary Zheng He, produced by the China Cultural Center and Chinese Bridge Club in Kuala Lumpur, goes beyond history. It's a reflection of Malaysia's multicultural roots and a message of unity for today. It highlights the shared heritage with China dating back 600 years, while showcasing how these ties have grown into modern partnerships in trade, education and technology, benefiting Malaysians. The film also serves as a call for Malaysians to embrace unity and tolerance, values vital in a diverse society. By celebrating Malaysia's harmonious identity, Zheng He encourages viewers to appreciate the cultural bonds shaping the nation and invites you to engage with its legacy through local screenings and discussions. Well, I'm off to a quick break right now. When I come back, let's take a look at developments in other ASEAN countries. Don't wander off. I'll be right back. You're watching The Nation ASEAN Plus. Welcome back. The Indonesian President Prabowo Subianto is set to visit Malaysia to meet with Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim following his official trip to Cairo in Egypt. He departed for Cairo on Tuesday for official duties and to attend the D8 summit held from December 17th to the 19th. This marks Prabowo's first visit to Egypt since 2013. And while in Cairo, he is scheduled to meet with the Egyptian President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi at the Al-Ittihadiyah Palace. In addition to bilateral talks, Prabowo will attend the D8 summit and take over the role of D8 chair for the year 2026 to 2027 term from the current chair, that is Egypt. Now, in Kabina Island, once a paradise of clear waters and lush forests in Indonesia, tells a very different story now. The booming mining industry has left its mark, polluting the seas and stripping the land of its natural beauty. For the indigenous Bajau people who have called this place home for generations, life has been turned upside down. Traditional ways of living have vanished, replaced by struggles of poverty, health issues and environmental destruction. Even with a 2024 ruling aimed at protecting the island, mining continues, leaving the residents to pick up the pieces of a paradise lost. Moving on, tragedy struck on Indonesia's tourist island of Bali as Molly, a 45-year-old Sumatran elephant, was found dead after being swept away by a powerful river current. Molly, one of two elephants on their daily exercise routine, was crossing a river guided by a mahout who, when sudden heavy rains upstream caused the current to surge. While the first elephant made it across safely, Molly wasn't as fortunate. Sumatran elephants are critically endangered with fewer than 700 left in the wild, making this loss even more heartbreaking. Well, December 26th marks 20 years since the devastating 2004 earthquake and tsunami that ravaged Asia, claiming over 226,000 lives and leaving nearly 2 million people homeless. A magnitude 9.15 quake triggered a massive 17.4 meter wave, taking away communities across more than 12 countries. Indonesia bore the worst of it with 166,000 dead or missing, but the destruction stretched as far as East Africa. In Banda Aceh, a new city now stands on ruins, a poignant reminder of both loss and resilience. Well, we learn from adversity, and did you know, but in the 2004 Indian Ocean tsunami, it also prompted the establishment of the Indian Ocean Tsunami Warning and Mitigation System in 2005 that involved 28 countries, all with the aim to enhance disaster preparedness. Well, from that we move on now to the Philippines. After years of diplomatic negotiations, a Filipino woman previously sentenced to death for drug trafficking in Indonesia returned home early on Wednesday this week. In 2015, she narrowly avoided execution following a last-minute reprieve. Now she will serve the remainder of her sentence in the Philippines, with the decision on clemency resting with President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. Indonesia has stated it will respect any decision regarding her clemency. Well, here's something you perhaps didn't know. Indonesia has not carried out any executions since 2016, despite maintaining the death penalty for serious crimes, including that of drug trafficking. Now, the Philippines Senate has ratified the RAA, that's the Reciprocal Access Agreement with Japan, following their militaries to deploy on each other's soil amid concerns over China's growing assertiveness. This first-of-its-kind agreement for Japan facilitates troop and equipment movement for joint combat training as well as disaster response. Signed back in July, the RAA required parliamentary approval to take effect. Both nations, key US allies, share concerns over China's activities in the East and South China Seas, as well as tensions across Taiwan Straits. And now Thailand has officially joined the ARTEMIS Accords, becoming the 51st nation to sign this landmark agreement, which emphasizes the safe, responsible and peaceful exploration of space for the benefit of all humankind. In a ceremony held in Bangkok on Monday, Pakon Amapant, the executive director of Thailand's Geoinformatics and Space Technology Development Agency, signed the accords on behalf of the country. This agreement aligns Thailand to the growing global community of space-faring nations, reinforcing its commitment to advancing space exploration. Pakon expressed optimism about Thailand's role in the international space sector, highlighting the nation's increasing capabilities and potential contributions to space science and technology. Well, next, Myanmar's ruling junta's top diplomat briefed neighbouring countries on plans to hold an election next year amid a growing civil war. Foreign Minister Tan Swe discussed the political roadmap, including a population census and the registration of 53 political parties. He also mentioned the invitation to invite foreign election observers, particularly from neighbouring countries. Myanmar has been in turmoil since 2021, when its military coup ousted the civilian government, leading to a pro-democracy protests and rising armed rebellion.
What they mentioned that is the crucial elements towards election is dialogue, inclusive dialogue. They are open to discuss with all parties.
With all sides.
With all sides. That's correct, yes.
And here's a quick update on another ASEAN leader. The Sultan of Brunei, Hassanal Bolkiah, was greeted by British Prime Minister Keir Starmer outside Downing Street on Thursday. Bolkiah and Starmer posed for photographs outside the number 10 door before heading inside for a bilateral meeting. Earlier this month, Starmer welcomed Qatar's Emir Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani to Downing Street for a meeting aimed at seeking greater ties with the Gulf state. Well, we'll take a short breather now. When we return, let's take a look at the latest updates coming in from Vietnam and Cambodia. Don't go anywhere. This is The Nation ASEAN Plus right here on Burnama TV. Thanks for staying with us. Still with reports from Myanmar. Now, stay with me because this is a crucial update that's both a bit lengthy and important to really understand what's happening in this country. A Reuters investigation has found that Myanmar's ruling junta has suppressed information about a severe food crisis, gripping the country by pressuring researchers not to collect data about hunger and aid workers, not to publish it as well. In a sign of the sensitivity around this data, the world's leading hunger watchdog, the Integrated Food Security Phase Classification or IPC, in recent weeks removed its color-coded assessment of Myanmar from the global map on its website, where it displays the levels of hunger afflicting dozens of countries. The reason? Well, fears for the safety of these researchers. An official at Myanmar's Ministry of Information did not provide any response to questions for this story. And according to a diplomatic source, the secrecy surrounding hunger research in Myanmar has hindered relief organizations' efforts to raise money for humanitarian aid because they can't use their findings to spotlight the severity of the problem. The situation in Myanmar highlights how the global system for tackling hunger and preventing famine, comprising UN agencies, non-governmental humanitarian groups and donor countries, is under enormous strain. Well, in Cambodia, the AUS Navy warship has arrived, the first such visit in 8 years to a nation that is China's close ally in Southeast Asia. Cambodia's government has suggested the port call reflects an upgrade in often strained relations. The USS Savannah, carrying a crew of about 100, docked on Monday at the port of Chinakville, on the Gulf of Thailand for a 5-day visit. The US for many years has had rocky relations with Cambodia, criticizing its government for political repression and human rights violations. There is particular concern about its close ties with China, which Washington fears may get exclusive access to a Cambodian naval base on the Gulf of Thailand. Well, here's something you didn't know. Cambodia's growing ties with China have led to increased Chinese investments in infrastructure, including deep water ports in Sinakshuville. In Vietnam on Thursday, Vietnam's Ministry of Public Security reported that a fire in Hanoi killed 11 people. Police arrested a man suspected of starting the blaze. He confessed to using gasoline after an argument with staff at the cafe. This incident occurred at a 3-story cafe on Wednesday. The suspect, in his early 50s, is now in custody. 7 people were rescued and 2 were hospitalized. Authorities are investigating the cause and circumstances of this tragic fire. Well, that's all the time we have. This has been your weekend insight into ASEAN. Stay informed with The Nation ASEAN Plus right here on Burnama TV. Well, to keep yourself updated with other news, do log on to burnama.com. This will also link you to our social media platforms as well. As usual, thanks for being with me and have a wonderful weekend. Bye-bye.